Taegu is a notorious gangster. However, behind that cold person is a warm soul. He has a very happy little family, including his sister and 5-year-old niece. Taegu's sister has leukemia and often has to go to the hospital for treatment. Today, Taegu took the time to pick up the mother and daughter because they are his only motivation to live. Tonight is also his niece's birthday, a special occasion that he cannot miss. He gave her an iPad. Her eyes lit up with joy. Then he decided to let the driver take them home first. Meanwhile, he stayed to get medicine for his sister. The next morning, Taegu went to meet the Buksong gang to get his underlings back. The relationship between the two gangs is very tense due to a previous territorial dispute. Currently, the Buksong gang is holding some of Taegu's underlings. With overwhelming power, the Buksong gang's director boldly warned Taegu that they spared his junior's life because they respected him. The head of the Buksong gang was planning to lure Taegu under his command. Taegu was a very loyal person, so he flatly refused this offer. After that, Taegu went to see the doctor to ask about the results of his sister's bone marrow donation registration. However, the results were not feasible because they were half-sisters. They could not find a suitable bone marrow donor. This meant that his sister did not have much time left to live. Taegu was sitting pensively on the hospital bench when he suddenly received a call from his sister. But while they were talking, the phone suddenly lost contact. Under the pouring rain, a tragic traffic accident occurred. Taegu sat on the side of the road, his eyes fixed on the familiar iPad box. The accident took the lives of both his sister and his niece. At their funeral, Mr. Huang also came to visit. He was the head of the gang that Taegu worked for. It could be said that, besides his family, Taegu trusted Mr. Huang very much. Taegu had followed Mr. Huang since his first days in the underworld. The two of them sat together, and Mr. Huang slowly said that today was supposed to be Taegu's niece's birthday. But he didn't expect that the president of that gang would do such a despicable thing. Just because he couldn't get Taegu to join, that person dared to touch his family. Taegu just listened quietly. The pain in his heart was rising. Taegu decided to go meet the person he wanted to face. President Wang wondered about Taegu's plan. Was Taegu also looking forward to it? That night, Taegu made an appointment to meet President Buksong at a bathhouse. There, he expressed his condolences for the loss Taegu had suffered. He promised to find the person behind this incident and bring that person before Taegu. Taegu replied that if it wasn't caused by President Buksong, he would consider this an accident. Taegu's answer pleased him. He tried to get Taegu to join his gang again. However, Taegu didn't answer right away, but asked for permission to take a cold shower first and then come back. Taegu walked towards the pool and poured a few basins of cold water on himself to regain his composure. Then his eyes turned to President Buksong's men who were waiting at the door. After that, Taegu continued to rush inside, aiming straight at President Buksong to carry out his plan. Outside, the atmosphere became gloomy as drops of blood were scattered everywhere. After Taegu completed his mission, he quickly took a shower to erase all traces of the incident. He sneaked out through the bathroom window, then drove the prepared car away from the scene. The surrounding space became cold and quiet. Early the next morning, Chairman Huang was waiting for Taegu at the airport. Chairman Huang gave Taegu a bag of money and a new identity card. Chairman Huang told Taegu to go to Jeju Island in a week. After that, someone would come to pick him up to cross the sea. As soon as Taegu left, his gang also started to carry out their plan. Taking advantage of the absence of the gang president Buksong, they simultaneously attacked on all fronts to take over the area of operation. Blood was shed continuously, but Taegu stayed out of that fierce battle because he had completed his mission. When Taegu landed at the airport, it suddenly started to rain heavily. He was about to light a cigarette when he suddenly received a phone call from a woman. The girl's name was Yun. She said she was here to pick him up instead of her uncle because he was having a meeting with a guest. It turned out that Chairman Wang had arranged for someone to pick up Taegu beforehand, so he decided to follow her. The atmosphere in the car was quite tense. When Taegu intended to open the window to enjoy some sea breeze, Yan cried out in annoyance because the wind blew her hair around, making it difficult to drive. Noticing that, Taegu quickly closed the window. Meanwhile, an old man was taking out guns hidden in the belly of the fish. His name was Kuto, the person Chairman Huang had asked to take care of Taegu. Kuto used to be a reputable boss, but now he has become a recluse years and has become an arms dealer. Today, his customers are a group of gangsters with connections to the Russian mafia. They buy guns to resell to the Japanese Yamazuka group. However, the fact that Kuto sold goods without going through them made them feel uncomfortable. He didn't pay any attention. He simply closed the door and let the dogs chase them away. At this moment, Yun brought Taegu back. Taegu's presence here seemed to be unwelcome. Kuto looked at Taegu and asked, "How long will you be here?" Taegu said that he would stay for a week and then go to Russia. Hearing that, Yun did not hesitate to mock Taegu. She asked if he planned to make a revolution there. When she saw that he hadn't eaten, she immediately took his bowl and washed it, leaving him confused about what was going on. That night, Taegu tried to contact his juniors, but no one answered. He was worried that after he left, the gang would attack Buk Song and cause unpredictable consequences. Chairman Huang's side was no better. He was nervously waiting for the results of the war. Suddenly, a junior ran in to report that they had lost Director Ma. This made Chairman Huang angry, and he scolded his subordinates. He could not accept losing anyone, but losing Director Ma was a real shock. It made him panic. In addition, Chairman Buk Song was still alive. He had received timely emergency treatment and was out of danger. At this moment, Director Ma of the Buk Song gang called. Chairman Huang was shaking as he picked up the phone. On the other end of the line, Director Ma was furious and warned Chairman Huang about his reckless actions. Director Ma decided to cut open Chairman Huang's stomach to find out why he dared to do such a bold thing. Director Ma then walked towards Chairman Huang's group of subordinates who were being held captive. He pulled out a knife and cut off their ears. Director Ma then sent those parts to Chairman Huang as a warning. Chairman Huang goes to a man named Jian, a fallen prosecutor, to explain everything and beg for his help, because Chairman Huang knew that if the incident that just happened was not handled properly, his life would be in danger. Seeing Chairman Huang's tragic situation, Jian also decided to make a phone call. The person he called was Director Ma, a powerful figure in the Buk Song gang. At this time, Taegu woke up early in the morning. As he was about to light a cigarette, he suddenly heard gunshots. Taegu walked out and saw Yeon shooting at bottles. Needless to say, her shooting skills were excellent. Every shot hit the target. While Taegu was watching carefully, he suddenly saw Yeon put the gun on her head. Seeing that scene, he was extremely frightened and immediately ran over. She still firmly held the gun in her hand, and she did not hesitate to pull the trigger. This made Taegu scared. However, the gun was out of bullets. She glanced at him and left as if nothing had happened. Taegu realizes that there is something wrong with Yeon. Taegu's day passes in anxiety, cannot sleep because the haunting image of standing in the morgue keeps haunting his mind. The night is long and he stays awake until dawn. When Taegu steps out of the house, he sees Yeon's car parked outside. Suddenly, the sound of a car horn repeatedly makes him jump and rush towards her. He sees her head down on the steering wheel. She still has a syringe in her hand. The scene makes him panic and not know what to do. Just then, Uncle Kuto appears and urges Taegu to quickly drive Yeon to the hospital. Uncle Kuto explains that Yeon has a serious illness and cannot be treated in Korea. Therefore, he is trying to raise money to send her to America. Although the success rate is only 20, if she is not treated, she will not live another month. After Taegu heard these words, he felt confused and didn't know how to respond. The two of them looked outside together, where the rain was pouring down. Elsewhere, the prosecutor had arranged a meeting for Chairman Huang and Director Ma of the Buk Song gang. When Director Ma saw that Chairman Huang was not eating, he immediately turned to warn him, emphasizing that it was best for Chairman Huang not to eat. Otherwise, he would make Chairman Huang pay dearly. Prosecutor Jeon saw that the situation was tense, so he immediately spoke up to defend Chairman Huang. He reminded him that Chairman Buk Song was still alive. Meanwhile, Director Ma had killed quite a few people on Chairman Huang's side. Jeon questioned whether this could be resolved. Director Ma insisted that it was impossible. He was dissatisfied. He could not let things end so easily. However, Jeon was determined not to let the gangsters look down on him. Jeon bluntly asked Director Ma if he thought I was their friend. Jeon was preparing for a performance evaluation, but for now, he reminded them of how much trouble those bastards had caused. After Director Ma noticed Jeon's resolute attitude, he had to lower his voice. He asked Jeon to at least arrange a reasonable price for this deal. Chief Prosecutor Park had already come up with a plan for their group. Even though Chairman Huang had the protection of the superiors, they couldn't just order him to be killed. They needed to bring Taegu here now, because he was the one who attacked Chairman Buk Song. They should let Director Ma deal with Taegu and put all the responsibility on him. Once everything was settled, they would clean up and end things properly. Chairman Huang had no objections. Meanwhile, Yeon had woken up. Kuto had a guest, so Taegu had to stay here and wait for her. Yeon got up and changed her clothes on the spot without caring about Taegu's presence. Then they both drove back. On the way, Yan asked Taegu if he had anything to say to her. Did he feel sorry for her because he thought she was going to die? He was silent when he heard this question. She continued to tell him that she wanted to go eat. Finally, they came to a restaurant that served raw fish soup. She insisted that it didn't matter if she died, but if she didn't get to enjoy the fish soup, she would regret it. When she saw that he wasn't eating, she curiously asked him if he didn't know how to eat it. He felt it was a waste when he saw her enjoying the food so deliciously. When he was about to pick up his chopsticks to eat, she ordered more wine. She offered him a glass of wine, but he refused to drink it. Then, he curiously asked her about her excellent shooting ability. She humbly replied that it was nothing special. Just thinking about the person she wanted to kill was enough. He only sipped his glass of wine because he knew he would have to drive later. She comforted him by telling him to rest assured that there had never been a breathalyzer test on Jeju Island. Unfortunately for them, a breathalyzer test was taking place at that moment. Luckily, Taegu only took a sip so they didn't get into trouble. His identity was also not discovered. Meanwhile, Yan was drunk and was struggling with a police officer. On the way back, Taegu received a call from Chairman Huang. He informed him that he would be there tomorrow. Taegu wondered why he couldn't contact his men. Chairman Huang explained that the plan had failed and they had run away. He also said that he would go with Taegu to Russia. Finally, he told Taegu not to leave any traces. Taegu continued driving. Meanwhile, Yan had sobered up. She turned to him and asked what mistake he had made that was so serious that he had to run away to faraway Russia. However, Taegu didn't say a word. When he saw that she was still stubborn, he angrily stopped the car. He warned her that it was enough. He asked her not to say anything more, but she was not afraid. She still firmly insisted that he had caused a big problem. This sentence touched his pride and made him explode with anger, but he could not do anything to her. She still maintained a defiant attitude and showed the indifference of someone who might be facing death. In the end, he ignored her and continued driving home. Meanwhile, at Yan's house, Uncle Kudo was conducting a transaction with the gangsters they had met before.
야! 살짝 스치입니다. 야, 이 씨발. 목에 칼 있잖아, 이 개.
Taegu saw this and immediately approached her, gently grabbing her hand. He understood the extreme pain that losing a loved one brought. Then he took the money and gun and dragged her away from the scene. However, at this time, she was no longer conscious. She cried hysterically, forcing him to carry her away from that painful place. Because she was too agitated, her illness relapsed. He quickly held out his hand so that she wouldn't bite her tongue. In order not to involve the others, Yeon could only say that Kuto was repairing the house, so they needed to stay here for a few days. The people around saw Taegu's appearance and mistook him for Yeon's boyfriend. That night, by the beach, Taegu and Yeon sat drinking. He kindly asked her if she was okay. She responded with a challenging look. Then she asked if he thought she was okay. She hated most people who knew the situation was not good but still asked questions. Then, she asked him the same question. He sighed and replied that he also hated most people who clearly knew everything was bad but still pretended that nothing was happening. She began to tell him about her past. In the past, because of Kuto, her whole family was killed by a Russian gang. Because of that, he took revenge and destroyed the entire gang. He carried a hatred that accumulated throughout his life. The gangsters considered him a legend. But in reality, if he died, everything would end. Why did her family have to endure this pain? Every day that passed, she wished for him to disappear from her life. But now that he was dead, she felt the pain rising. Now she was alone, and her life would not last much longer. Why did the people around her leave her one by one? After Taegu took took Yun to his room. He thought that she had fallen asleep, so he was about to leave. Suddenly, she asked him if he wanted to stay with her. She didn't feel shy in front of other people's eyes because she was about to leave this world. He immediately responded by affirming that he didn't want to sleep with anyone, even if invited. He coldly walked out of the room. She lay down and silently scolded him in her heart. But right after that, when the door opened, she jumped up with a little hope. However, he only turned back to check if the door was locked and then left. His simple action made her smile. That night, he couldn't sleep. Tomorrow would be the day he left this place, and that made his mind heavy. In the next room, Yeon couldn't sleep either. Anxiety filled her heart. The next morning, the two went to have breakfast together. When Yeon saw Taegu enjoying the raw fish soup, she was very surprised. She asked him, "Can you eat this?" Taegu smiled and replied that not only could he, but he also loved this dish. He explained that when he was young, his family lived near the sea. Whenever there was nothing to eat, his mother would go to the seafood market to pick up leftover fish to cook this soup. This made his sister hate this dish, but strangely, he felt a love for this dish. Every time he enjoyed it, he thought of his mother. That feeling made him feel close to her. After the meal, the two of them walked along the beach together. The space was quiet, and neither of them spoke much, but Yeon could now lean on Taegu's back. She felt warmth and safety from him. They walked quietly, enjoying the moment together. When they returned to the motel, Taegu asked to borrow Yeon's car so he could go to the airport. However, she immediately grabbed his hand and stopped him. She didn't want this separation to come too soon. She asked him if he noticed anything unusual. Wasn't he unable to contact his brothers? She worriedly advised him not to go because she felt very uneasy and didn't want to be alone. But in the end, he still decided not to listen to her and left. At this time, at the airport, Chairman Hwang and Director Ma were present with a group of their juniors. It seemed that they were ready to capture Taegu. When Taegu arrived at the airport, he immediately noticed the presence of a group of strangers. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was a call from his junior. That person informed him that Chairman Hwang had betrayed them. At this moment, Taegu also saw Chairman Hwang and the junior's call was cut off. Taegu felt that the situation was getting serious, so he decided to approach Chairman Hwang's group. However, he had already discovered Taegu's presence. Taegu immediately turned around and ran away. His group of men also immediately chased Taegu. Meanwhile, Chairman Hwang could not contact Taegu, making him worried. Director Ma was very angry, so he dragged Chairman Hwang out to vent his anger. In the situation of being threatened, Chairman Hwang revealed that Taegu had a close junior who was being arrested. Chairman Hwang believed that as long as he used this person as a threat tool, Taegu would definitely appear. Director Ma heard this and felt disgusted by Chairman Hwang's sinisterness. Director Ma sarcastically said that Chairman Hwang was a bad person and asked him to keep his distance. After Taegu returned, he immediately searched for Yeon, but he couldn't find her. When he asked the landlord and his wife, they informed him that she had returned home. For a moment, his heart was filled with worry. He hurriedly called her to ask her to come back quickly. However, she did not listen to him and still went inside. Feeling helpless, he could only drive there in the hope of finding her in time. On the way, Taegu received a call from Chairman Hwang. In a threatening tone, Chairman Hwang warned that if Taegu did not come, he would destroy all of Taegu's juniors. Then, Director Ma also promised that if Taegu showed up, he would give Taegu a gift, but if not, Yan will be the one to pay with his life. Hearing that Yan was arrested, Taegu immediately stopped the car. Taegu informed Director Ma that he would come, but first, Taegu needed to see Yan. Director Ma agreed and gave Taegu his phone so he could talk to Yan. Yan advised Taegu not to come because she felt her fate was predetermined. Taegu replied that he would die anyway, and he knew Yan would not want to be alone in this situation.
박태구 씨발 새끼야.
Despite the dire situation, Taegu could not take his eyes off Yan. He asked if she was okay. She also asked him with concern if he was safe. He felt helpless in the face of her question. However, he still thanked her for asking that question. After that, Taegu asked Director Ma to keep his promise to release his comrades. But when the subordinate called, they found out that those people had been killed. Director Ma turned to ask Chairman Wang if he had done it. This made Director Ma angry. Even though they were both underworld, Chairman Wang was really a dirty person. Taegu heard those words and felt his anger rising, but Taegu was held back by his bodyguards. So Taegu could not do anything. Director Ma could not do anything to Chairman Wang, so he became even angrier. Chairman Wang still stubbornly turned to attack Taegu. Director Ma watched, but he could not control himself. He rushed out and punched Chairman Wang hard in the face. Director Ma cursed that this dirty person should not have made him do it. Chairman Wang was really a worthless person. Director Ma then turned to Taegu and reminded him of the promise of a gift for him. The gift was related to the death of Taegu's sister and niece. Director Ma listened to Chairman Buk Song's words and conducted an investigation. In fact, they were not the ones who caused the death. Director Ma asked Taegu if he could guess who was behind this. Only then did Taegu realize that Chairman Wang was the one who caused the death of his sister and niece. In fact, Chairman Wang was afraid that if Taegu turned to the Buk Song gang, he would lose everything. For that reason, Chairman Wang cruelly killed Taegu's relatives and blamed Chairman Buk Song. At this time, Director Ma ordered his subordinates to let go so that Taegu could attack Chairman Wang.
저 양아치 새끼가 죽으면 우리가 좀 곤란해지.
At this point, her tears had fallen to the last drop. Taegu asked why Yun was crying. He advised her not to cry in vain because of him. She shook her head and affirmed that she was not crying. He wondered why she had to cry because of him. He hoped she wouldn't say such things anymore, because he felt like he would die before her. These words might make her laugh, but they also brought the last bit of optimism in their tragic lives.
태어 많이 아프지?
Yun had no strength to speak and fell to her knees. Yun gently stroked Taegu's still open eyes. Chairman Wang wanted to kill Yun too, but Director Ma stopped him. Director Ma warned Chairman Wang to look at himself, because he should be the one lying here. Director Ma then ordered his men to clean up the scene. They doused the warehouse with gasoline and set it on fire. Yun watched as the fire consumed everything, and then she decided to turn around and leave. Chairman Huang, who was sitting in the car, finally smiled. Yun returned to Taegu's room. She sat there thinking until the morning light appeared. She called to ask for the address of the breakfast restaurant that Director Ma's group often visited. After receiving the information, she drove her motorbike alone along the familiar road. Yon arrived in front of the restaurant and took Taegu's bag out of the trunk. With a cold expression, she went inside.
이게 누구야? 그냥 우리 합석할까?
아이 씨발 이 개새끼들.
After Yeon finished what needed to be done, she walked out. The scene here had now become a bloody battlefield, marking the end of the painful wars. She left the scene and got into her car and drove straight to the beach, where everything seemed to have calmed down. All the painful things had finally ended. The movie ended here. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you again.